Wow. Hey there, everyone. My name is Monkey Javno from the Guys Who Play Games. Back with some more Pokemon Crystal Randomizer. And I'm going to talk to you about an important lesson today. That when you start a recording, you should probably make sure it's actually recording. Because I just spent like 20 minutes talking to myself. Well, it was actually really good dialogue that I wasn't expecting to be able to do. And I looked down and noticed, oh, not recording. There goes 20 minutes of my life and, you know, all that good dialogue. And I saved, so I can't even go back. Because I saved a couple times to do some things. So all I can really do is kind of go over what I was talking about earlier. So, follow these trainers, yada yada yada. I think they're all fought. Yeah. So I'll grab this one here. Burn heal. I'll grab the TM from this guy. TM36 Sludge Bomb, except what is it in this? It doesn't actually tell you in this. Right, because he's just like, I don't like this TM, take it away. Whereas in the new one, he's like, I don't like this TM. And now here's exactly what it does, because somehow I magically know. But, so basically, we went up to Lake of Rage. I talked about some stuff, like some interesting stuff, like how, you know, the maze down here, you can't access it from here, you have to go around. But maze in there is flooded in the new games, only except on Wednesdays for some reason. Because, you know, the weather is really predictable like that. It'll, you know, our river floods every Wednesday, you know, obviously. I fought the Gyarados. It was a Flappy that I called Static E in reference to Super Mario RPG. Then Lance appeared, I talked to him, he gave me a bunch of crap, and then he left, and then I fought the trainers here after flying back here, because they only appear here after you beat the Gyarados, which is kind of interesting, because, you know, trainers in this game don't really, like, this game's really interesting like that, where there's a lot of, like, these are just random trainers that only are here when you beat the Gyarados. But anyways, so Lance, he gives you, like, a bunch of things, like, just all the key items you get from the Rocket Quest. So the basement key, the card key, and the clear bell. And that, my friend, is because part of the thing that this ROM actually does is it lets you just straight up skip the entire Team Rocket side quest. And in exchange, they just give you all the stuff you get. Which is kind of interesting. So, I'm going to be underleveled for a while now, probably, because I don't get to grind up all those Team Rocket dudes. But it does speed up the pace of the game a bit, so should hopefully be fine. I can go talk to some of these people and hopefully get items. I think one of them that has an item is like the girl over here. She should have a TM. Yeah. Which would normally be Sunny Day, but now it's Protect. Use it wisely. That's actually kind of funny that it's still kind of appropriate dialogue. And then yeah, we went to the Team Rocket hideout. We talked about some crap in there. Like I went and checked out. I grabbed all the items. The Pokemon that ended up like in there were Fortress. Funny enough, when I had my Fortress out, a Phanpy and a Gengar. So those are interesting Pokemon. And yeah, I just did all that. I'm not entirely sure what to talk about, because I talked about a whole bunch of other miscellaneous crap that kind of depressed me, that all got sucked into the void because I was a freaking dumbass who somehow didn't check. Like, oh my god, Brian. How can you be so dumb and neglectful? I'm so sorry! The dialogue for this, the commentary is gonna be shitty now because I'm kind of sad. I don't even remember what I talked about. I just talked a lot about, like, the levels and stuff. Like, how you can go left or right from Ecruteak. So, obviously, since I went Olivine and Cianwood first, all the trainers in, you know, from Mahogany and stuff are pretty weak. Because that's just kind of the case of designing it like that. Ugh. Man, it gets me. Funny thing enough is that most of the trainers... Oh, whoa. Most of the trainers down to the right here are actually not going to be that much stronger than me, because it seems like it was designed to let you kind of come over here after you beat the 7 gym leaders and not the Team Rocket dudes, but for some reason they just decided not to. Because, like, look how level, even with the level buff, this guy's going to be like 30. Level 26, not even. Like, he's weaker than some of the trainers at the Lake of Rage. Like, the Lake of Rage trainers are optional, so they're actually kind of strong for when you can fight them. Speaking of which, speaking of optional, one thing I did think about that was pretty interesting that I never even thought about before is optional trainers in this game. In terms of what trainers are optional, it's basically every single trainer in the overworld. The first mandatory trainer in the game is the youngster up from the ledge on Route 30, and from then on, I literally cannot think of any mandatory trainers from that point on, other than trainers that are in gyms or the Team Rocket grunts in areas. And those are cases where those guys tend to be more forced, and they're not even super forced, some of them can be dodged, but they tend to be more forced because once you've completed their thing, they're all gone. So if they were super optional, then like you could miss out on a lot of experience permanently, which would be kind of weird, if you ask me. So they tend to force those more than other trainers. But like, even with those forced, like think about the trainers that are mandatory in this game. It's the youngster. There's a bunch of gym trainers that are mandatory, but like on the actual overworld, there's like no trainers. I think maybe the bird keeper on this route is mandatory, and that might be like literally the next non-mandatory, next mandatory trainer that's on our route, which is weird to me. Anyways, it's Payday, this Houndour, and because it's so fragile, it almost dies from one hit. Even though it was a crit, it's still like only Payday from a Hypno. Clefable. Well, I'm gonna poison you because you're kind of bulky. Spray my powder all over you. Oh, geez, Spark. That would do like 15. Oh, I was gonna be generous and say 10, but that actually did a little bit more than I originally expected, and I tried to be more generous, but then it did less than me being generous. So what I'm saying is that's kind of weird. Oh wow, this thing is really bulky now. Good thing I poisoned it, so now I'm gonna drain it, because that's kind of dumb. I'm not dealing with that. Although Clefable has good special defense, so. Oh, but Crit will say otherwise. Jeez, I can't even remember all the topics I was talking about. Just in general though, I was thinking about how like interesting, like unique this game is. Like there's lots of weird things like this route. I'm not actually sure. I think in the original Gold and Silver you can come here after beating the gym leaders, but I don't actually know about that. It's hard to tell because I've never played the Gold Silver in a long ass time. I always play Crystal when I come back to this game. They actually recently released Gold and Silver on the Virtual Console, so you know people playing that game could probably figure it out. But you know, I don't know if anyone playing that is actually watching this right now, so I don't know. But yeah, that's interesting to think about. I swear it's gotta be, because like look at these trainer levels, like level 25 and stuff. It's like this is only a little bit stronger than the trainers we were fighting in. Like these aren't even as strong as the gym trainers, which I didn't bother to fight yet because I'm coming over here first. I still have to fight both the gym leaders. And like the optional trainers of Lake of Rage were just as strong, and those can be fought as soon as you beat the Gyarados. It's really weird to think of that. I'm not actually sure. Despite how much more like cleanly programmed this game is, there's definitely moments where you have to wonder if there was some like problem, if there was some like development things where they just didn't quite know what was happening, so they just did whatever. You know? It's weird to think about. Oh! Here is the big crux, the thing I was talking about early on. And this is related to last time, when I was talking about, like, things in video games that aren't very well documented. So, I was playing Animal Crossing for the GameCube. I actually already talked about this in the stupid part that got scrapped, and it freaking blew, but whatever. I'll keep talking about it. So basically, I was playing GameCube Animal Crossing, and I was looking for a large char. Large chars are called chars in future Animal Crossing games because you can, their sizes are actually like, you actually get like their sizes in inches in like other Animal Crossing games. So calling it a large char when it's like a very small char would be silly, but that's just how it is. in GameCube because it doesn't give you sizes. That's why there's like 3 sizes of bass. There's a small bass, there's also a large bass, but I digress. So, I was looking for a large char, and I spent like, I think like 2 hours looking for it, and I couldn't find it. Wow, this guy's even optional. I think actually they made more trainers optional in Crystal. So maybe I think this guy was mandatory in Gold and Silver, but they optionalized him. Once again, I digress. So, I like you can just see straight to Blackthorn from there. Anyways, I was looking for a large char for a long time, and then I eventually decided, screw it, let's look this up. See what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say the dish, but that doesn't make any sense. The situation. So I looked it up, and the time you can find it from is actually, like, really generous. Like, you can find it from 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. So, like, you can find it virtually all day, and there's only, like, 7 hours and you can't find it. So, like, you would think that means that, like, oh, maybe I'm just unlucky. And because, like, there's 2 different Animal Crossing wikis, plus, like, a couple other guides that all pretty much say the same thing. There's Nookpedia, there's Animal Crossing Wiki, and there's like a GameFAQs article, or like a FAQ, I guess, on fish in Animal Crossing GameCube. And they all say the same thing for the char, where it's 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. But I could not find it. So eventually, I actually looked up a YouTube video of someone fishing it up. And I noticed something very peculiar about that video, because they actually had the time you could find the fish from in that video. And wouldn't you know it, during the months of September and October only, because you can no longer find the large char after October, during September and October, the large char's time to be found is actually shrunk down by like 66%. You can now, in September and October only, you can only find it from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So I spent all, like, morning looking for it when it was, like, impossible to find. And that is just absolutely insane to me, that, like, this information that you think would be somewhat well known is just, like, completely, like, unknown on, like, all these different wikis and shit. And it's so weird to me. Like, how, you know? Like, that's crazy. You know, like, it's just weird to think about. That all these things are just, like, wrong. Or, like, I guess they're not wrong, but they're inaccurate because they're not specific enough. Because, actually, now that I think about it, a lot of the fish and insects in Animal Crossing GameCube only have, like, different times. Or, like, you can find them from 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. like that. Like, yeah, and they have times like that where you can just always have a chance of finding them. But they have times when they're like almost like, I guess you could say they're swarming, so you can find them either more often, or in some cases like the large char, just specific months, the times they found just shrink down a lot. And like I said, it's crazy because Animal Crossing GameCube in particular is based on an even older Animal Crossing game called Animal Forest for the N64. That game came out in, I think, 1997 or maybe 1998, one of those 2 months, right? And when you think about it, that means that those games have been out for nearly 2 decades, right? And yet, information on it is still limited at best. Which is insane. You think after 2 years, it's like 20 years, that people would have more accurate information on these games, but there's just nothing. It's so weird to me, you know? It's almost an anomaly in a sense. But even then, games these days still have that where like the basic information you can find really easily, but then you try to get more in-depth information and it's just like you can't find anything, you know? Weird shit like that. Or like if you try to look at, say, like, I don't know, like I would say maybe, actually, speaking of Animal Crossing games, New Leaf is actually probably a decent example of this, because, oh crap, well, whatever. I've been watching Chuck Connor's playthrough, where he's playing through the Welcome Amiibo update of New Leaf, which I've been kind of playing along with, but not on purpose, just kind of like, I've started playing it again, and he's did an LP of it right away, so it was kind of funny. And he's been talking a lot about how, like, information for it is very stingy. Like, a lot of sources contradict each other, and it's just like, it's really weird. And it kind of comes down, he was right about this, that it kind of comes down to, like, because, like, Animal Crossing New Leaf is a game that gets patched, but the patch notes are very limited. Like, there's lots of little changes that the only way to really know is just, like, well, there isn't really any way to really know. Like, they added new shirts and to the Able sisters, right? And it just, oh, wow. Yes. And it just so happens that the Able sisters are the only people that had anything new added to them other than, like, the other stuff where there's, like, a whole nother place to get stuff. But, like, they didn't get anything added to, like, the, you know, the Nooks store or, like, anything else. But specifically the Able sisters had a couple extra shirts and stuff added. And it's like, there is no way to know because there's no information on it about the patch notes. And like, that's not very smart to me because, like, when it comes to something like that, there's the chance that somebody who's playing the Welcome Amiibo update could just think that they just got unlucky and never found those items without realizing that they're impossible to get. And somewhere down the line, I don't know if this will ever happen, but somewhere down the line, there's a decent chance that the servers that let you download the update will no longer exist, but people will still start playing New Leaf for the first time and end up in these situations where people tell them about these shirts that simply don't exist for them. You know, it's stuff like that. And, like, you can say, like, oh, well, that's not that important, but, like, I'm the kind of person who says that emulation, not even necessarily emulation, but being able to replay old games is extremely important because those games often end up in these, like, limbo states where, like, you can no longer play them after a certain amount of time if you don't already own, like, a physical copy of it. Like, I actually watched, like, an hour-long video on this, and it's really true. Like, think about, let's say DuckTales is the example actually he gave for the NES. If you want to play DuckTales for the NES, there is, other than just straight up, like, emulating the game with, like, a ROM, there is, like, virtually no way to play that game. That actually might be different now. I haven't actually paid too much attention, but I could be wrong about this. But, like, you can play DuckTales Remastered, yeah, but DuckTales Remastered is a lot different than the NES game. It's actually quite a fair bit different. And it's actually kind of surprising how different it is if you actually look at it. Like, the way levels operate throughout are just very different. And it's just, you know, like I said, like, there's no way to play the original game, really, if you don't already own a physical copy. And it's like this for a lot of things. Like, some game companies are kind of good about this, like Nintendo's not too bad, because, you know, they release a lot of their stuff on Virtual Console, but, like, even then, like, you could argue Nintendo's kind of weird about it, because, like, you'll buy a game on the Wii, but then, you know, your Wii's, you don't play your Wii anymore because it's an outdated console, which is probably not a really smart thing to say, because that kind of goes against what I'm talking about, but you know what I mean. Like, you don't play Wii anymore because, you know, you can play the Wii, you can play all your Wii games on the Wii U, right? Except that some games can't be played on the Wii U because any of the games you bought for Virtual Console on the Wii, I think you have to actually re-buy on the Wii U, which seems kind of silly to me. It's like, why? You know, don't you already own the license for this game? You know, that was one nice thing actually Xbox did, was that, like, once they introduced backwards compatibility, you can just re-download all the games you already had before. You don't have to re-buy them, because that'd be so dumb. You already paid for these games, like, once, and you're not technically, it's not like it's technically just their own emulation, so it's like, you're basically paying to emulate something. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like they're doing anything different, it's just straight up the new game, and it's like, it's hard to talk about, because, like, I'm thinking about this, and it's like, I'm not exactly the best about talking about this. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the things I'm talking about are actually not totally true. But, like, when you think about that, you think about, like, a good example, the example he showed is movies. Like, Uncle Buck is a kind of like a funny little movie that's been re-released like dozens of times, like a hell of a lot of times, and all these different things like Blu-ray and crap, all this other stuff, and it's like, you know, but then like you try to replay something like, what's a game I can think of? I mean, look, we have some games back here. Let's say you decide you want to play. Oh crap! This is taking too long. I can't find anything that would be like a good example of this. It's like a good game that hasn't been re-released that much. Has Nintendo released the original Super Smash Brothers? I don't think they have, but I could be wrong about that. But that's kind of a good example. Actually, even just Super Smash Bros. Melee is kind of a good example of that. Where, like, both those games, well, at least Melee in particular, like, copies of that game can go for, like, hundreds of dollars now. Because, like, it's not like they're making any new copies. And they never re-released it on, like, Virtual Console or anything. So it's like, if you want to play that game, if you don't already have a copy of it, and you don't have, you know, a couple $100 to shell out, then, you know, all you can really do is emulate it through, like, the Dolphin emulator. Compare that to, like, Uncle Buck, and they've got all these, like, movie packs, Blu-ray releases, and all this crap where you can buy it for, like, you know, $10, $20. It's like, there's a significant difference, you know. And it's funny I'm talking about Uncle Buck, but it's the example the guy gave in the video, and it's kind of like one of those movies that's, like, it's so weird that I think it's kind of a good example, because it's like, it's just some movie that got re-released a crap ton of times. It's weird to think about, you know? Anyways, my voice is getting raggedy because I've technically been talking for like almost an hour, except, you know, you wouldn't hear that because the stupid video didn't take. Ugh! Whatever. We're in Blackthorn City, but I can't actually fight the gym leader, I don't think. And I actually wanted to showcase this, so I'll go up here. What? You're not supposed to say you can fight. If you no clip over here, like, to get over here, he'll say you're not ready to fight Claire. I guess she's linked to the Team Rocket quest and not the gym leaders, which I guess makes sense when you really think about it, because you can't actually do the Team Rocket stuff until you fight the gym leaders. But still, come on. Man, I want to showcase. I want to be a genius, but I guess I'm just a dummy, after all. Well, whatever. This part kind of sucked, because a lot of the good stuff I was talking about, like, I basically talked about the exact same things I did in the part that didn't take, except I talked about a couple extra things that I can't even remember anymore, so there's nothing really to be done. It sucks, but, you know, hopefully you enjoyed me talking about this shit. I know that I'm pretty passionate about this stuff. Like, DuckTales, I don't know why. DuckTales is just like the best example of this. DuckTales 2 is a game that a lot of people don't know about. There's also a good case of this, where this game didn't even get remade. And it's extremely rare to find an actual copy of the game that doesn't go for, I don't even know. I think Wrote Down John mentioned that he paid something he used like prize money that he got to just buy the game. So it probably cost like around $1,000 or something, or at least 500 or something. I don't remember. I don't collect this stuff, so I'm not a good giver of, like, you know, the whole supply and demand cost of it. You know, I'm not good with economy shit. Anyways, oh, what did I do? I paused the game. Sorry. I don't know if that cuts out my dialogue, but whatever. Anyways, I will see you guys later. Monkey strapping loud, because I don't know. All I can say is, I'm gonna say this before I actually stop the recording, is pay attention to this shit, you know? So, like, I think this stuff is important, and, you know, keeping old games well documented and well, like, easily accessible for, you know, like, days to come, so that they're always available to play, because, like, this stuff is, like, our pastime, you know? Like, I guess to a lot of people it's probably not that important, but, like, and then, to be honest, I'm not doing a good job of describing it. I never do. I'm a techie guy, but I'm not necessarily like a passion guy. Oh wow, my throat is really dry now, but whatever. All I'm saying is, I think this stuff is very important, And, you know, try not to let this stuff get lost to the cracks of time. Anyways, Monkey Shop out. There's somebody behind me.